What's up, guys? It is I, once again, Yusuf Al-Sanad, and today, guys, I want to review Justin Kurzel's take on William Shakespeare's Macbeth, which was released last year and stars Michael Fassbender and Marion, Cotillard, two of my favorite actors and actresses of all time. And this movie tells the tale of a man by the name of Macbeth, who was a soldier and general who served Scotland under the rule of King Duncan. And at the beginning of the film, it opens with a battle in which Macbeth takes the life of the traitor to Scotland, that man being MacDonald. He beheads him and sends his head to King Duncan and his heir, Prince Malcolm, and he's awarded the title of Thane, and through his wife, Lady Macbeth, he is tempted to become the next king of Scotland, but in order to do so, he has to assassinate King Duncan himself, and he just feels scared to take the life of the man who he's sworn to protect and serve. And Lady Macbeth insists and encourages him to do this act, to take the life of the king and to become the next king of Scotland. And when Macbeth becomes king of Scotland alongside Lady Macbeth as his queen, he starts to lose his mind very slowly, and he starts to see visions of those he's killed, including his close friends. And Macbeth is losing his mind bit by bit, and Lady Macbeth, being his voice of reason and being his filter, someone who keeps him under check and under control, she's losing grasp of her husband, and she herself is losing herself to her own madness, because she's lost so many of her children, and it's killing her inside. And she tries to tell Macbeth that what's done cannot be undone, and how she tries to justify that this is the right thing to do, and this leads to both of their tragic end. Now, guys, the last Shakespeare film I've seen is Ralph Fiennes' Coriolanus, I think that's his name, yeah, Coriolanus. That movie was released in 2011, and it's among my favorite Shakespeare adaptations. I really love that movie and how it's set in a modern time, and how Ralph Fiennes plays Coriolanus, the Emperor or General of Rome, I think, and he was fantastic. Now, in this film, Michael Fassbender and Marion Cotillard are so amazing in their roles, and they managed to not only play their characters with such depth and such gravitas, but they managed to give them a sense of humanity. And I not once in the film I hated them, nor did I feel what they were doing is it's definitely immoral, it's definitely wrong, but I did not hate them for it, and I understood where they were coming from. And that's the thing about Shakespeare, guys, that Macbeth, like Claudius, King Claudius from Hamlet, or Iago from Othello, Shakespeare always manages to humanize his villains. And just like those characters, Macbeth isn't so much a monster or a villain in that typical sense, but is more of a tragic bad person, or a tragic villain, if you will. Now, in the end, during his fight, his final battle, duel, if you will, with Macduff, his friend, who was very close to King Duncan. It's not a spoiler because it's well known Shakespeare's plays, this one included. Macbeth and Macduff, when they face each other, even at that point, after all that's happened to both he and his wife, Lady Macbeth, I still felt bad for them. I really did, and I don't condone their actions. I do not, but there's something about the way Macbeth is written and the way Michael Fassbender and Marion Cotillard play their characters that brings such humanity to them. Because, guys, what is a monster? A monster is one who does acts of sin with no remorse, no heart, no soul, and no humanity, which Macbeth has, as does Lady Macbeth. And Macbeth is seeing things that is haunting him deep down inside. And the fact that these witches in the film, who are portrayed differently from the book, the play, these witches consist of two young ladies, one elder and one who is but a child, and they give Macbeth this prophecy that he is to be both Thane and later king, or king hereafter, as they say. And it's such a tragic story because of how Macbeth loses his mind. And throughout the film, he does some heinous acts that is truly unforgivable. But Macbeth isn't a monster. He's a tyrant for sure, but he is not a monster, at least from my personal view. I don't see these kind of characters or villains as monsters because, like I said, a monster is one who kills without regret. He does sinful acts with no remorse. That's the kind of person I consider a monster or a devil. Now, Macbeth is but a man who has desires and ambition like we all do, and he's one of those characters in movies I can relate to because of his desire and his ambition. At the same time, seeing what he goes through, I can't help but feel bad for him. Now guys, if you know me, I am a flawed person myself, and there are some things in my life I do not regret, a lot of things actually, and some I do, but I am where I am because of how I got here personally on my own. And Macbeth is a man who I can see where he's coming from, and I can see the conflict in his eyes and how he struggles to maintain his humanity, even though he's crossed that line between right and wrong the moment he's become king after slaying the king himself. And this is a very complex, powerful, and it's a very how you say, compelling story, and I was hooked from beginning to end, and you can expect that from a Shakespeare play. Now, I'll admit, guys, throughout the film, I did not understand the dialogue most of the time, but I managed to understand it simply through their physical interaction, the way they look at each other, the way they hold hands, the way they perform, like the way silent actors used to perform in the old golden age of cinema. And I managed to get those nuances into what they were trying to tell, and that's a great way to tell the story, especially to people who aren't familiar with Shakespeare's play or writing. And the cinematography, guys, is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the battle sequence at the beginning and the final duel at the end between Macbeth and Macduff, it's all outstanding. The effects they use with the slow motion, the blood, the lighting of how it goes from red to fog-like atmosphere, and how it captures the insanity that goes on in Macbeth's mind, because the entire film, for the most part, is told from his point of view, and as well as Lady Macbeth. And as she delves into her own madness, and as she tries to justify both her and her husband's actions. And the cinematography is great. The editing is really good, guys. I mean, this film was pretty fast-paced. I was not once bored by the film, and the writing is excellent. Of course, it's Shakespeare. You can expect that from one of my favorite authors. And I love the costume design, and I love everything about this movie. Now, there were some complaints about Marion Cotillard's performance as Lady Macbeth, but honestly, guys, I thought she was brilliant. I really thought that Marion Cotillard plays Lady Macbeth so beautifully, in how she gives her a sense of humanity and a sense of that she regrets what she's doing, especially how, despite when she's trying to justify her actions, you really can't blame her for what she and her husband do. I mean, you can definitely hate their actions and consider it immoral, but I personally at least don't blame them for wanting the throne, especially how much he's put into the war, and how he's lost children of his own fighting for Scotland, for the king, and he's got nothing in return, despite being a veteran and a proud patriot of Scotland. And this is the kind of story, guys, that I really am compelled to see, and one I really love. It's because it's a story that does provoke a reaction out of you. It's a story that does question what is right or wrong, and Shakespeare does that unlike any other author. And I highly recommend you guys check this film out. Now, I was having a hard time talking about the plot at the beginning of the review, because this is one of those complex stories I really can't describe so well, and I'm very bad at plot descriptions and stuff. Plus the names like Macbeth, Macduff, and Duncan, all these kind of names, it's really confusing a lot of times how it begins with Mac. I'm surprised there's no like McDonald's, stuff like that. Oh, actually there's a trader called McDonald, but yeah, you know what I mean. But guys, everyone in the film is great, from Michael Fassbender to Marion Cotillard to Sean Harris as Macduff to Paddy Considine as Bunku, I think that's his name, Bunku, Macbeth's friend. And the witches, the actresses who play the witches, they are excellent as well. And Lady Macduff, Macduff's wife, is also great. Everyone in this film are great, including the direction, the writing, the cinematography, the effects, and everything about this movie is just pure excellence. I really do love it, and had I seen this film earlier in 2015, it would have been among my favorite movies of that very year. But as it stands, I love this movie, and it's probably my favorite take on Shakespeare live adaptation, if that's what you call it. And guys, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the review, and please let me know your thoughts on what you feel about the movie and which is your favorite William Shakespeare movie adaptation. And until next time, peace out, take care, adios, amigos, au revoir, and sayonara.